number of counties, moldy. Okay, and these are the implants that are just inserted right under the skin there on your upper arm. So the government is now on the spot for releasing contaminated family planning implants to Kenyan women. According to this particular daily, this consignment of implants was imported by the United Nations Population Fund and released by Kenya Medical KEMSA to Lamu, Kwale, Nyamira, and Kakamega counties, and it had already grown mold. This consignment was imported last year in October and has been in storage up until June, just last month. This is when it was released to KEMSA after staying at the port of Mombasa for about 8 months because of clearance bottlenecks amid a shortage of the implants. So the consignment was held by the Kenya Ports Authority because the government had not budgeted for the tax clearance.
Wow.
Reading verbatim.
Wow.
Now, according to this piece, they learned that quality assurance was not done on this particular consignment by the Division of Reproductive Health in the Ministry of Health. And now, according to a memo that was written to the counties that received this consignment, they were told to check the consignments for any signs of molding, then quarantine the items immediately and return them to KEMSA. For those who had already been given this particular implants,
wow,
they were told to stop usage and to stop usage of this particular implants and await further directions from the ministry. Let's just talk about, Dee, you had this conversation yesterday about...
I was paying attention to that article.
Exactly. There was a discussion here yesterday about that.
Moldy family planning implants administered by a whole professional, and now after they have already been distributed, now the question of, can you just confirm if they had mold, and if they did, by the zirudishe, so that we can do 1 2 1 2. And it's clear, according to this piece, that quality assurance was not done by the Department of Ministry, Reproductive Health in the ministry.
I don't know what... it's from the health perspective. Okay, let me just start by just asking this simple question. From a man's perspective, how is it going to affect, like, for those people who've used it, and how many people have, for those people who say that it may backfire, you're planning to have a kid or two, or you're planning not to have any at all, and there you have it.
That is a good point.
From medical's point of view, like, who should take the blame? The government, the Ministry of Health, and who else?
You've raised a good point and a very pertinent question. Why? Because also, as we were having this conversation yesterday, there's that question of you are in this on this method, then it just the way he's mentioning, it backfires. Perhaps you're not planning to ever have kids, maybe in the next 5 years, then boom, you have.
Or maybe you have.
Or you're planning to have kids
issues
after 2 years.
Because
actually the implant is usually goes for perhaps 3 to 5 years, depending on the one that you pick.
Depending on which one you pick.
Yes. Then you plan to have kids after 2 years, and then you realize that actually perhaps you are infertile.
And you see some ladies, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, some use the contraceptive because of health reasons. Doctors will tell you you have to take a hold because of a reason or two, and then there you are, man, you just have to wake up.
This is something that we would love to hear from you guys. What do you think about this particular story concerning contaminated family planning implants that were distributed to people? We will be back to continue sampling your views using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, so do stay with us. We will be right back.
Ministry of Health.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS. alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
You are a man of great insight. With your encouragement, I'll get started then.
Wait, come back here. Who knows when we'll run into each other again next time?
Looks like Queen Mother is suspicious of my identity.
Hey! You're vile.
I won't allow some barbaric unknown princess to steal the favor I've earned.
Have you fallen in love with her so soon?
I am only here to help you.
So am I. Ama hii session ya leo pengine ya bure.
Ikiwa yotoa watu uhai itakuwa mimi kunishona mdomo.
Sema nini wewe?
Na wewe mwenyewe hata sijui sampuli gani. Wewe huyu wakuta majina kila sampuli, wewe uko hivi hivi tu. Bwana ndani kulipa mshahara huyu.
Ujeuri wako umezidi yani kabisa.
What does this number mean to you? A pack leader? A winner? Or just a number? To us, it means freshness, boldness, vibrancy and heritage. That's why at KBC Channel 1, we make it easier for you to pop up your family entertainment to a fresh, exciting and colorful bouquet.
Let's look at those alternative routes right now. If you can remember that this is actually what you're still looking at this morning. That is the traffic flow along Jogoo Road. I had promised to check some alternative routes for those plying that specific route because, like I mentioned earlier, this is one of those busy road, heavy kind of gridlock oftentimes witnessed, especially in the early morning hour. So let's check one route, which is an alternative route for those coming to the city center. If at all you're using Jogoo Road, this is actually the Eastleigh First Avenue. Always serves as a very good alternative route, and this is specific to those that are still using Jogoo Road and you are not yet past the Makongeni police station. So just around this mini roundabout there is where you get to branch off, coming through the Eastleigh First Avenue. Also along this route we have seen a lot of ongoing works, road works by the NMS, where they really tried to clear the garbage that was on the streets along this particular route, given the fact that that is also another reason for heavy kind of traffic when you have this garbage in areas where are supposed to be used by vehicles, both public and private, and also by pedestrians. So this is one of those routes you can use as an alternative route. And look at how it is this morning, green all through. The beauty is that this is actually on both lanes, so it means as you leave Juja Road, coming through the Eastleigh First Avenue as you get to branch off to Jogoo Road, as well as also as you branch off from Jogoo Road, coming through the Eastleigh First Avenue, heading all the way to Juja Road. So this is actually where you get to use this particular route. Coming through the same route, you get to branch off to Juja Road, given the fact that this is where the road begins, that the Eastleigh First Avenue from Juja Road, going all the way to Jogoo Road. So where you'll just have to make do with the traffic flow is slightly just before you get to Juja Road. There, coming all the way through the same route next to Moyale Mall. That's just where you get to make do with that traffic. But past there, coming through the same route, that is the Eastleigh First Avenue, heading all the way to City Center via Juja Road, is a smooth sailing, no traffic at all. And actually, this is how this route is looking like. And like I mentioned, the beauty is that this is actually on both lanes. So as you leave that area, coming through the same route as you head over to Jogo, and also as you leave Jogo, coming through the same route as you head over to Juja Road. And also as you come to that is Juja Road, still no traffic. As you head over to the city center, this continues all the way up until the Mlango Kubwa roundabout. That is just where there's a bit of a gridlock, but altogether manageable kind of traffic. Past there, coming through the same route, that is Juja Road, you again a smooth sailing. Where you also have to make do the slight snarl up is at the Pangani intersection, but also that is expected given that there's always a lot of activities around that area. But again, also past there, moving at a swift pace. So you can clearly use that as an alternative route. That is the Eastleigh First Avenue if at all you are coming to the city center. That is via Jogor, given the kind of heavy traffic, especially on that specific route. So you can use this as your alternative route. Just from those areas that I've mentioned is where you perhaps have to make do with that traffic flow, but altogether past those areas, moving at a very, very fast pace. So again, if you are past, this is the Makongeni police station, then again, you'll just have to make do with this traffic going on up until the city stadia roundabout. But also, it doesn't really look that bad. Just around the roundabout is where there's a bit of a traffic, but look at that, still a manageable kind of traffic. That's why you're seeing that orange color there. So just before you get to the roundabout is where there's really heavy kind of traffic at a standstill, not moving at all. On the other side, as you leave City Stadia, coming through Jogoo Road, also moving at a swift pace, going all the way as you head over to the Donholm roundabout. So the Eastleigh First Avenue is one of those alternative routes that you can use if at all you are coming to the city center. So again, perhaps what we will do in our next link up segment, we'll try to look at different other various alternative routes. But as of now, this is how it's looking like in terms of traffic along Jogoo Road.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Dee. And there's somebody here. Let me just pull up this tweet. Anajita Jeff Epatron. Anasema Dorina Range, where have you been all my life? Fine, fine girl. Nakupenda, please. Bure. Unapendwa bure hapa hivi. Appreciating the love, using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. And there's also Susie who's saying, if there is a smart woman among that lot that received the contaminated consignment, they will sue in the event something goes wrong on their side. And this is something that we were talking about, you know, just before we came back from this break. Like, in the event something that you are not intending to happen, and it happens, as a result that can be proved was linked to the failure of these implants, would you have the legal standing to sue, you know? And this also goes back to a story that we highlighted a while back on just looking at the past 2 years. The government has been sued about 18 times. There are 18 cases against the government in just the past 2 years or so. So this would be another legal standing that would compromise the government, something that, you know, doesn't really set or rather sit right with a majority of the people. Keep talking to us. Remember, the hashtag that we are using ever remains to be Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is the official station handle. At Victor Olo, at Dorina Range, and at Jane Wamboi is how you can find us. Now, to continue within the headlines, just to touch on a bit of politics. And this is the story that has been captured on the front page of the Daily Nation. It's actually the main read, where Ruto and Raila now fight for the hustlers, quote unquote. And getting to this particular piece is that now DP Ruto and Raila Odinga now square it out to win the hearts and votes of the hustlers. And this is after ODM leader Raila Odinga outlined a raft of pro-poor policies that targeted the hustler campaign that the DP Ruto has been on for the greater part of the year. And allies to the DP now say that Odinga's recent sentiments show that he has bought into the hustler narrative of the bottom-up economic model, as opposed to the to the up-bottom economy, hoping that benefits will trickle down to the common mwananchi, something that the allies to the DP are saying hasn't worked, and we need to do something different. Also looking at what was captured in this particular manifesto, the brief that Raila Odinga gave is that he proposed bolstering rural economic and supporting small-scale businesses to build on President Kenyatta's urban regeneration strategy. And on the other hand, DP wants the government to set aside some 30 billion Kenya shillings annually to help small and medium-sized enterprises, again being opposed to the top-down model. We say that doesn't work and we need to do different in order to get different results. On the other hand, we did have allies to the DP now just embracing Mr. Odinga for his sentiments, saying that, you know, you're welcome to join the Hustler Nation. We don't discriminate, we don't judge, just, you know, come correct and join the bandwagon, when he said that Mr. Odinga's rural economic approach is an attempt to copy the DP's Hustler Nation economic ideology, and said that, you know, he's most welcome to join the Hustler campaign. Vic.
That's what you call politics. See, even the other day in Machakos, Raila Odinga, who is the ODM leader, said that he also invited President Kenyatta to join the NASA team.
How now?
How now? President Kenyatta is a Jubilee member, and he said that, Mr. President, we are going to talk.
He's the party leader.
He's a party leader of Jubilee. And he said that as NASA, we are going to have a talk. We'll talk, and we will also invite you to join us in NASA. So in politics, it's possible. You know, the other day we had Honorable Sosia and Honorable Sankok.
Yes.
And they were inviting each other to join either party. Ososi was inviting Sankok to join ANC and vice versa to join Jubilee.
And this goes to the conversations that you have been having just here on Good Morning Kenya about the coalitions that are potentially set to take place before we get to the general elections.
It will be interesting. It will be interesting.
So
and some of these political parties, we will have these politicians here for so many times. And believe you me, some of these politicians will ditch to different positions because it's about interest. It's about which particular direction are you seeing that it's most likely.
Align.
But that's what usually happens. I mean, when you gear up for an election, you really expect people to divert. Now,
exactly.
I know. Really be surprised.
A lot of emotions.
Exactly. And by the way, to tell our viewers, off air, anytime we go for a break, these politicians know each other.
And
they talk. They talk. They, you know, man, live your life, all right? Live your lives. Okay, so quickly on still on that political note, Raila says that how I will make billionaires out of poor villages. That is according to Raila. He has not publicly stated he will run for presidency for the 5th time next year, but the former premier proposes a focus on rural development to counter Ruto's bottom-up model. Raila's move appears to be a deliberate response to Deputy President William Ruto's bottom-up economic model that he has consistently trashed as promoting the handout culture. So there it is. Yes, we are ready to see how he is going to handle that, having in mind that, well, he is not publicly declared his candidature next year, but all pointers and, you know, signals can lead us to that direction. Speculation.
Giving this raft of pro-poor policies that he's proposing, isn't that a declaration? Not directly, but critics would argue this is evidence that supports a particular space.
In politics, they say that in politics, it's like going to war. You don't tell your opponent your next move. The only thing you do, just ambush.
But you see, from utterances, opponents can quite tell what it is.
You can easily add 1 + 1.
But that is where you say, I have not said anything outside what I have said. I have not said anything outside what I have said.
But you know, there's that thing when someone says something, pay attention to what they are not saying.
Exactly.
And this is a classic.
And what they're not saying is quite loud.
I know.
So, ladies, yesterday we had a discussion here by Honorable Sosi and again Honorable Sankok, and we talked about the deaths in Saudi. So CS given 1 month to explain Kenya's deaths in Saudi Arabia. And Senators Mal tightening labor migration laws to protect those working abroad. Again, we had a discussion with the two guests here yesterday, and this is what they said yesterday, and now it can be reported. Now, the Senate Labor Committee pointed out a lacuna in law that has made it easy for recruitment agencies to ferry Kenyans abroad, sometimes without the knowledge of the government, thus subjecting them to manhandling. That again is a statement that was made here yesterday by Honorable Sankok, if you can all remember, and they were responding to question by nominated MP Godfrey Ososi, who was also here again yesterday, on the number of Kenyans who have lost their lives in Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries. So the CS, that is CS Chelugui, failed to satisfy members of the National Assembly Labor and Social Welfare Committee on the causes of fatalities involving Kenyans migrant workers and the circumstances that led to the death. So that is something that we'll be waiting to see how it will happen in the next 1 month once they go back to the committee to shed more light and give more answers to that effect. Okay, so this is it. MPs demand laptops for virtual meetings.
Because they're always demanding something. There's just always
lawmakers have embarked on a fresh bid to be supplied with laptops for their virtual committee meetings. A select committee of the National Assembly wants management to consider buying laptops for MPs. The Committee on Broadcasting and Library further wants the Assembly leadership to complete an upgrade of the House ICT infrastructure by October.
Did the grade ones get the laptops?
Yes.
As they had been promised in 2013?
I'm not.
Did they? Because MPs are demanding.
They're demanding.
So
let me not say.
Okay, we can check.
We can, yeah. Let me not say that I'm trying to a devil's advocate. Well, it might go either way, but a scandal might erupt out of that, because somebody will say, you know, a scandal will erupt out of that. And my director says that I'm the devil himself.
Do not be the advocate. Be devil yourself.
Okay. Let me be the advocate and leave the devil out of this. So, if this thing is not handled properly, as we all know, something will erupt out of it, and questions will be asked. You know, a laptop goes for maybe 18,000 shillings, 24,000 shillings, and you'll see procurement papers flying out.
And you know, we are crying that we don't have enough money to fund the budget, and we are looking at how we can cut down costs. And now our members of parliament are asking for laptops, and a good laptop goes for nothing less than 35k.
Yes.
Like a good laptop for somebody who might be using it for business.
And they will come with the specific specs.
Yeah, and of course those are now the demands that are next after this particular proposal.
Yeah.
So how are they working towards helping our country cut down on costs? And just looking at the back page of the Daily Nation, KRA is now crafting a plan to collect 6.8 trillion in the next 3 years, and more so targeting the informal sector. The taxpayer is going to carry the huge burden, and our members of parliament are just looking at how they can add to the burden. Looking at the deficit, our current budget deficit stands at 953 billion Kenya shillings that we're looking to plug, and the options that stand are domestic and internal borrowing. And in order to cut down on this external and internal borrowing, which of course cannot be cut out entirely but can be reduced, KRA now wants to target the informal sector in the next 3 years, a strategic plan that will be running up until June in 2024, targeting the informal sector. These are people who are not earning as much as the formal sector might be earning, but they create the huge part of the economy. So now KRA says this initiative, they are looking to recruit new taxpayers and introduce new levies over the next 3 years just to be able to raise 6.8 trillion Kenya shillings in the form of tax. Are we really going to be able to sustain? And you know, when it comes to budget, these two small expenses are the biggest problem. And this, just even look at your household budgeting. the small expenses in the long run become huge expenses. Haba na haba hujaza kibaba. So you find these two small expenses are what really cost you the most, as opposed to those big bills. And it's the same thing even with our country's budget. You know, just the other day they got car grants. That's 4 billion that went just like that. Now they want laptops. Guys, that is another how many billion that will go? And these are small expenses here and there, but in the long run,
brands, not just a laptop,
they accumulate
and specific brands
and continue contributing to this deficit.
I mean, it just brings the question of what is the priority? Because like you're mentioning, these are our leaders, those that were elected to go and represent us. We had the car grants for the MCAs. Now it's a laptop for the MPs. If this is people that you are actually elected to go represent you and represent your needs, and this is what they're thinking of, then where does it leave you as a common Kenyan? Who's supposed to take care of your needs as a common mwananchi? But anyway,
okay,
I guess that's that.
We are the leaders that we elect.
Exactly.
So again, on that note, Doreen, what do you have?
I actually want to come to South Africa, and this is because of what has been happening there since today is Wednesday, since Monday.
Yes.
In regards to those the looting that has been happening in that particular country, let me just run you through this particular article very quickly. And this actually, as of now, as it stands, more than 30 people killed in spiraling unrest triggered by jailing of former president, that is Jacob Zuma, who was arrested last week. Now, these protesters clashed with security forces in several areas of South Africa, and looters ransacked shopping malls. That was on Tuesday, as frustrations over poverty and inequality boiled over the country's worst unrest in years, with the death toll rising to more than 30 persons in just a span of these 2 days. Many of the deaths occurred in chaotic stampedes, as scores of people looted food, electrical appliances, liquor and clothing from retail centers. So this actually were in shops, petrol stations, and government buildings have now been forced to close down because of those ongoing lootings, which is still actually ongoing up till now. In some areas of the coastal city of Durban, where shops were being looted, there was no police visibility. That is actually an international media which reported about that. And also 757 people had been arrested so far. So in as much as we're talking about 30 people having lost their lives, the article continues to highlight that as it stands, 757 people had been arrested so far. This was actually mentioned by the defense minister in South Africa there. And again, also this comes at a time when Zuma, that is the former president, 79, was sentenced last month for defying a constitutional court order to give evidence at an inquiry investigating high-level corruption during his 9 years in office until 2018. I mean, guys, what do you think about this? Because there was that conversation around how at least Africa as a continent is at least coming out there, because when it comes to corruption cases, this is something that is so prevalent in African countries, and we don't see leaders being accountable. So when you saw what happened in South Africa, at least you are saying, okay, we are sort of moving towards the right direction. But I mean, on the flip side, what is happening right now because just of that arrest? What does this say for us as Africans? Is it that we really want change, but sort of when it comes, we go like, okay?
You know, one interesting thing is that that commission of inquiry to deal and to tackle corruption in South Africa was formed by the former president Zuma himself.
Yes.
So the same committee, the same commission.
Poetic justice.
Is the one that recommended part of the justice system in South Africa recommended for his 15 months in prison. So it was formed to investigate cases of corruption in South Africa, which was formed under his tenure, and now he's been found to be culpable of corruption. And now guys are just gone berserk. And you see, they say that the rate of unemployment in South Africa is so high, and the rate of crime in that particular country is also wanting. So
high level of inequality.
Exactly. Yes. So, you know, the fight against the whites and the blacks is still not yet resolved from apartheid era until now. The blacks in South Africa feel that the whites in that country are still oppressing them. It's still, you know, it's still a war between the blacks and the whites in that particular country. So when Zuma and former President Zuma and his people now decided to go on the streets, it was all chaos.
It's chaotic.
Now, allow me to just bring in a different aspect into all this. Let's just look at Zuma in his former capacity as the president. they say we are progressing as a continent.
Yeah.
But when you look at the western side of the divide, as long as you are a former head of state, you have immunity. Let's bring it back here home in Africa.
Put it more
and
into
I don't know if it was you, we were having this conversation with Vic a while back, even just looking at second-term governors. Once they leave office, what is the protocol of exiting their offices? Once a president leaves office, what is the protocol of exiting office? Looking at a president, this is somebody who holds state secrets. And that's why I think even in the states, in the Western countries, they are given immunity once you leave office. But now coming to Africa, given what Zuma is going through, he is a former head of state. Of course, there's so much that is going to be blamed on him. So is it time that we also look at our leaders in their capacity, depending on the office that they're holding? After they leave that office, what's next for them? Are they just left to go home and retire while carrying all these state secrets?
But I think, Jen, it's with Africa, in the West, they have got laws. For example, America is hundreds of years ahead of us. And they still see, for example, a country like Kenya, that we are only 56 years old since independence.
But a president is still a president here as much as a president there.
The president is enjoying the absolute immunity while still in power. But then now, if you leave it open, that you'll still enjoy that immunity and absolute immunity even after power, you can imagine how many presidents in Africa would be abusing power left, right and center, executing people, looting and just draining their countries. And then they run away with it because they know that during and after my tenure, I'm still enjoying the immunity.
So we're just not ready for such as a continent?
It goes back to integrity. If you are elected to serve the people, serve your term diligently, and ask God to guide you, then go home.
And I think that's the point.
I like that. Ask for guidance from God.
That's the point. Because you see, as an African continent, all these points you're raising actually make a lot of sense. But as an African continent, are we really ready for that? Because when you look at how Africa is set up, and even African leaders, if you continue to provide that kind of immunity for African leaders,
but it's just immunity against legal procedures. But nonetheless, that brings us to a close of this particular segment. This is In the Headlines. We just have a quick look at what the papers have for us this morning. But of course, we have so much more lined up for you. Fantastic discussions coming up.
We have Kobia up next.
That is coming up next, so do stay with us. The hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS, alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill, kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo.
I just thought I might have a chance with you.
You are my employee, my worker, only that. So don't make any mistakes. I'm your boss and I would never look at you twice.
Do you have any idea what the star zone means to me?
I was so looking forward to see the first crop of the land that I inherited from my mother.
Oh, Amaya, please, don't be overly sentimental. It's ridiculous. Do you have any suspicions? No, I don't want to get involved in any gossip. It is not gossip.
We have the same person in mind, don't we?
Yes, ma'am. Tell me, who?
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente.
Mradi wa bwawa la Thwake ni mojawapo ya miradi ya utoaji maji safi inayotekelezwa chini ya uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ili kuimarisha maisha na mapato ya Wakenya. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
bila infrastructure huwezi inua hali ya maisha ya wananchi, huwezi upate kazi. Bila maji haya ambayo tunafanya, hatuwezi tulime sehemu hizi ambazo tunajua tuko na udongo sawa, lakini ukosefu ni maji. Hiyo ni infrastructure.
Nataka kushukuru president wetu sana ambaye ameshikilia hii mradi sana na akaingililia mpaka Wakamba wapate maji.
This is where it all began. As the mother of broadcasting in Kenya, you can trust KBC to bring you authentic news and programs to your living room. As KBC, we take pride in our unrivaled heritage as Kenya's trusted national broadcaster. Commanding over 92% digital television signal coverage of our country, 23 radio services that cut across our entire language spectrum, a national, regional and international digital presence backed by the most experienced and top-notch broadcast professionals in the industry.
A very good evening to you.
The new look Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is truly ahead of the pack. Turn to the mother of broadcasting in Kenya for stories that resonate with our identity, our aspirations as a people united in purpose. Real stories of hard work, of passion, of creativity, of big dreams. Stories that cement our nationhood. Stories that bring us together as one. We take pride in our shared heritage and destiny. KBC. Informing, educating and entertaining Kenyans as one nation. KBC. Kenya's listening. Kenya's watching.
This week on Surura, a warrior whose weapon of choice is glass.
Hi!
A colorful artist teaching others to love who they are through art. And finally, we drift over to join a young group of adventurers taking hiking to new heights. Wow, why you at home? That's all coming right up on Surura. Find your adventure, only on KBC.
Right, and welcome back. Now let's shift some gears now and let's talk about issues gender, and let's talk about matters service to this particular country, and how you as a youth, you as a Kenyan, you are being served as a citizen of this particular country. And now joined by CS for in the Ministry of Public Service and Gender Affairs, that is Professor Margaret Kobia. CS, good morning and good to see you.
Good morning, Victor, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Madam CS, let's just start by reports that you launched yesterday. And the report showed some disturbing kind of reports that the cases of domestic violence and sexual harassment amongst children shot up this pandemic period. How has that affected this particular country more so from your point of view?
Thank you very much, Victor. Yes, yesterday we launched a report which was conducted by the Executive Office of the President, a particular office that deals with the policy and the strategy, together with the Population Council. This report is very important to us in government and in Kenya, because before, Victor, if you remember, there was already a study done on the impact of COVID in general, the whole country, and especially by the Kenyan Bureau of Statistics, which indicated that there was really a setback on the economy, on health, and on education. So the report we launched yesterday, we wanted to spotlight what is happening with the impact of COVID on adolescents, and adolescents meaning both girls and boys, but more they tend to lean more towards girls because of the increased number of teenage pregnancy. So the report kind of set some highlight on what intervention do we need to put in place to ensure that adolescents are not kind of experiencing more difficult life than before dropping out of school, and they are also getting the services that they need in order to develop and become a productive members of the society. Victor, the reason why we think that spotlighting the adolescent is critical, adolescent age itself is normally an age where most people in that age category, about maybe 14 and 19, they experience even identification. So it's already a challenging stage. They are trying to identify themselves, and they need a lot of emotional support. They need also guidance. So when there's a setback brought by the COVID-19, it is an addition of more challenges for adolescents. And if there is no attention or investment made to support how they progress in life, in their education, and become productive members of the society, then the gains from other quotas, may it be economy, may it be all other development needs, if we don't take care of our adolescents, then you can see the future. Again, also Kenyan population, just like in other African countries, we want to benefit from demographic dividends. But if the COVID has impacted on adolescents to that extent, then I think it's also time we come back around to the table, look at the government, development partners, civil society, and all other stakeholders in a very inclusive, participatory manner, standard the findings, and then think of what are the interventions that you would cure that situation. Because what we really found with this report, we found that quite a number of adolescents have dropped out of school, especially through teenage pregnancies. That is very, very worrying, because when a girl drops out of school because of pregnancy, of course, that means quite a setback on what they will achieve in the future. And it is already indicated of almost 300 girls throughout that period have become pregnant. The other thing is dropping out of school for one reason or another, maybe to be used as child labor. Others have been married off, and we have seen patterns where the impact of COVID tend to be more harmful and negative to areas where there is poverty, especially in the slum, far-flung areas of this country where the people experience low quality of life because maybe of the income, the weather. Therefore, one thing the government we are coming to realize is, unless we also deal with the poverty, then some of these kind of setback, whenever you get a crisis, maybe be COVID, maybe another type of crisis, adolescents who are from poverty-stricken areas seem to experience more difficulties. So I think it is very important also to realize during COVID, gender-based violence increased by 36%. In fact, in some cases more than that, but on average. And this is not a Kenyan phenomenon only, it's globally. So then we must ask ourselves, what are those conditions which came with the COVID-19 pandemic that have actually increased the cases of gender-based violence? And when it comes to gender-based violence, that also creates a negative environment for the adolescent boys and girls. And in this case, we are not just talking about girls, and sometimes Victor Reich is explaining people that gender is not women. Gender is the roles assigned to men and girls. And because we come from orientation world over, where we are socialized, what are the roles for women, what are the roles for the men, and then we find in those roles, some could cause discrimination. You are treated the way you are treated because of your gender. And that's what we are trying and campaigning to say is we want equal opportunities for both boys and girls, men and women, as far as either economic, political, or any other kind of area where we don't want any discrimination against anybody because of their gender.
Madam CS, from this report again, there was this worrying trend that most of the boys, adolescent boys, suffered physical, torture, and girls suffered from sexual torture. Does this give you sleepless nights as a ministry?
It is really a concern, especially when we as a ministry, you realize also government attaches a lot of importance on gender matters. And that's why we have our own department with a budget to deal with the gender issues. So it gives us a sleepless night to know a big number of girls have dropped out of school. Some might not go back. And for that reason, this report kind of also gives a recommendation or also examines how the policy of return back to school is working. And we have realized, yes, when girls are kind of enclosed with the people maybe who are even some known to them, the whole issue of defilement or sexual assault has increased on girls. Therefore, for them to kind of, we have found actually being in school is a safe haven compared with being at homes. So one finding we're finding from COVID is during the pandemic, even homes were not safe for the girls. That's why they got pregnant more than when they're in school. So that is already a learning that we need to sensitize communities, we need to sensitize families, because the parental care plays a big role of maybe how the girls will be socialized and how they might fall into those troubles. When it comes, also we realize quite a number of them getting early marriages. And again, where parents see their girls as a source of income, some of them are married off when they are less of age to elderly men, and then by that being just to get a few kind of resources or financial support from those families. That is also harmful to girls. The boys also suffered because they were expected to go out and work, and those who are not able to go and work, that we found they also experienced some difficulties. We also realized that quite a number of boys going to labor like in Bonda, and now we already understand that much as we have had so many programs to support the girl, even the boy also is threatened, require that support. So where they fall off, maybe to be engaged in kind of harmful practices, like being in the Bonda, getting in drugs, getting into some illicit kind of sexual activities. Also, we realize we cannot only concentrate on girls alone anymore. We need to balance. What are those problems a young boy of today is experiencing in Kenya that it needs some intervention through government, and what can we do, and not only as a State Department of Gender, but more bringing everyone together. Victor, the responsibility of the Ministry of Gender is actually more policy, and the reason why I would say policy is very important, and the coordination. What does that mean? We look at in the area of the whole gender issues, what are the challenges this country is facing, and then we go through an inclusive, participatory formulation of the policy that you tease out what are some of the interventions government could coordinate so that we eradicate some of this gender-based violence. Now that we know it is at 35, 36, how can we get it even to 0? Remember when we hosted the SCPD plus 25, a United Nations program for population and the development, in 2019, our target and commitment is to reduce to 0 gender-based violence. So I think we are keen, and I think that makes it quite focused to be able to measure. So what I'm trying to say is the government is coordinating, bringing all the ministries that deal with the education, with the health, Ministry of Labor, ICT, and ourselves, and all other civil society to try to understand that report and they take a position of how each one of us is going to implement it, measure, and report annually. Because it can't be one organization that is doing it, because it is the whole of government, whole of society approach, so that we can be able to address some of these worrying figures of girls dropping out of school. Victor, let me also mention that, of course, we have the policy of return to school. But it's easier said than what we have found through the study. When you go to school, we have not prepared the teachers how they handle expectant girls in school. That is a big challenge. It's a positive initiative, but when it's not true, a teacher is struggling. How do I support and how is expected? So there is that capacity building required. When the girl gives birth, there is a whole issue who is left with the child. That means you can see the family is pulled down because either the mother or a relative are to stay with the child rather than go for another economic activities. While the policy is good, I think the most important thing is prevention by having all approaches where we are trying to sensitize the girl the dangers of getting early pregnancy. Also, where it is defilement, dealing with the court cases so that perpetrators are punished, and also trying to mentor these girls, and they're also coming back to say families, communities, let's look at our present if you want a better future moving forward.
All right. Okay. Madam CS, there was a report, there was a survey which was conducted by the Presidential Policy and Strategy Unit, which showed that most of the adolescents prefer being in school to being at home because of sexual harassment, either physical or, either form of harassment back at home. And this was being inflicted on them either by their parents or guardian. Now, what are you doing as a ministry to ensure that the adolescents enjoy their time and their period both at home and at school?
Thank you, Victor. It is true. Most of the adolescents, both girls and boys, in some, we may not generalize everywhere, but the majority prefer, they are safe in school than being at home. But what the government is doing is, because we are trying to find what is the cause of this violence and the defilement for girls and the boys at home. We have found most of the adolescents suffer more where there is poverty. Therefore, the government is doing quite a lot in terms of coming up with affirmative fund, where those who are really in need are given a little money either to do business or to support themselves. I'm sure you know Women Enterprise Fund already gives a certain amount of money. At every month, the government is giving almost 300 million shillings to various women groups, because also there's a pattern of women-headed households have increased also. Therefore, if they come together in groups and then get affirmative fund through Women Enterprise Fund, it is going a long way to stabilize the homes. That makes the home, if the adolescent can be able to have a decent meal, they can see their parents are engaged in some productive activity, then they can even be supported to go to school, especially the day school. So that is one thing the government is doing. There's also youth fund. I think that supports some of the youth with all this is like targeting better families, and there's also what we call a Wealth Fund. So that is one big initiative where the government has come up with effort of how to support to make homes better. If you look at the Ministry of Labor, they are also doing a lot on child protection, because children, as you remember in our constitution, there is a whole Bill of Rights. Everybody is entitled to basic needs like food, education, water. Therefore, making sure even the Jamii, the Inu and Jamii kind of resources that are given every 2,000 every month to very vulnerable, because also as a country, our study shows quite a number of our population is very vulnerable, around 2%. Therefore, giving them the 2,000 shillings per month has also been very, very helpful. Also, we have other programs like engaging the civil society, the churches, to kind of bring the message home that if the families are not living the positive values where the child is valued, is supported, is mental, is emotionally stable, I think then we will not have a future as Kenya. This is not a Kenya thing, when you talk about the gender issues, remember there is a sustainable development goal number 5, where we are trying to get equal, inclusive, 50-50 or kind of parity in all the spheres, that equal opportunities for both men and women. Therefore, the government is doing through an interagency, working well to make sure that we identify these challenges, and then we also do an intervention, and we have a plan. I think you know government normally, because we take care of many issues, we have to have a very comprehensive plan that we come together, all the ministries now that concern, to deliver on that. Victor, I would also like you to remember also during the COVID-19 pandemic, His Excellency the President was really concerned the rise of gender-based violence, and he commissioned a study through National Crime Research Center, and it was found out that the cases have increased because of the people being held at home, and the poverty is a major reason. They also say alcohol and the drug abuse, lack of effective parenting, and also the fact that there were, especially where there were conflict before between maybe the spouses, when they came because of loss of job, hardships because of the COVID-19, then those were more exposed. And using all the reports that the government has put together, interventions have been put very much aligned to what Kenya would want to be by the year 2030 through the vision.
Right. Madam CS, even as you say that, there is this worrying report that most of these gender-based violence go unreported, more so from the male gender. They suffer in silence. Does this worry you?
Thank you very much. First, let me say what is gender-based violence.
Yes.
Gender-based violence is any harmful or assault that is meted to either boys, men, or women,
right?
Regardless of their gender, and we find it could be kind of it could be a violation of a human right. It could be an assault. It could be emotional. It could be sexual. So it worries us that the cases have increased, and what the government is trying to do is to find a solution. And maybe if you could repeat your question, what is you said? And yes, I have said that those who suffer gender-based violence is between 14 and 49. The studies that we have done, we find at least one woman has suffered in their lifetime between 14 and 49. They have exceeded gender-based violence, either sexual assault or even emotional. In fact, emotional disturbances even are more than maybe the assault. It worries us because there is a stigma attached to gender-based violence cases. People do not report. In fact, we know that only 20% are reported. Over 80% of the cases go unreported, and that's why the government has put a campaign with the other stakeholders that do not be silenced, raise up your voice, so that within the communities, when they hear some disturbance in the neighborhood, they don't just judge it as a domestic issue. They should be able to report such matters, because nowadays we are organized in Nyumbakumi, and within Nyumbakumi they are about welfare of the societies and the families. So anybody who really assault one another is of course against the law, is a crime, and actually they should be kind of punished. But the worrying number of percentage of people who do not report is cause for that concerted effort of really being able to call what it is, that this is a crime, and any perpetrator is supposed to be punished.
Absolutely. And Madam, from the survey, right, from the survey again, Kilifi, Nairobi, and Kisumu have suffered greatly for the GBV in the year from the survey of 2020-2021. And now, have you done anything just to make sure that your ministry bring some normalcy in these particular regions that were conducted the survey?
Thank you very much, Victor. It is true, Kilifi, Nairobi, and Kisumu were identified as some of the counties that cases of gender-based violence were above average. And what has been done, if you look at the civil societies working on gender issues, in fact, all the civil societies in Kenya, 17% work around gender issues. I think you'll be surprised by that number. All these civil societies you see, about 17% of these organizations work on gender-based violence. In fact, if you look at Kilifi, you'll find most of the civil societies are there. The government is there because of the high number of prevalences, including even early teenage pregnancies. Areas like Kilifi, Taveta, and Homa Bay, they are the most with the highest numbers. So we have kind of set target for those particular kind of coordinated the teams of civil society, the government. There is always a gender officer, and let me say also the responsibility of Ministry of Interior, because you find the county commissioner coordinates all the implementation of government action to prevent gender-based at the county level, because all gender-based violence may require different interventions. There is those who may need to report it to the police, how it is reported, and police have got a gender desk, so that since people do not like reporting these cases, then the police station desk need to be friendly, so that I will feel safe or in a safe space as I report my assault matter. And after reporting, they also need some medical attention. They also given those services where to go for medical attention. When they also require the matter to go through the court before the investigation, the DCI, and then you can see it's a whole a kind of stream of intervention that will be required just to address one gender case. And allow me to point out, Victor, if we don't fight gender-based violence, then the gains made even on economic development are ruined by having our percentage of our people either being spending their time in medical attention and not being productive. So it is very important to get the equation right, that much as we're doing other development, this gender-based violence is a challenge that must be confronted if you want to be a progressive and modern country.
Absolutely. But I'm serious. I think at that point, let's just take a break. Don't go far, because we still have the question of affirmative action. All right. We need to talk about that. And of course, the 2/3 gender rule. It's been, fronted and tabled in Parliament quite several times, 4 times, but still, it's still a hard nut to crack. And so much more. So stay around. We are going to take a very short break, but we'll come back. We are still having that discussion with CS Ministry in the Ministry of Public Service and Gender Affairs. That is Professor Margaret Kobia. Let's take a break. We'll be right back after this. Stick around.
Nissan Serena ndio hii. Na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS. Alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
I am only here to help you.
So am I. Ama hii session ya leo pengine ya bure.
Ikiwa yotoa watu uhai itakuwa mimi kunishona mdomo.
Nasema nini wewe?
Na wewe mwenyewe hata sijui sampuli gani. Wewe huyu wakuta majina kila sampuli, wewe uko hivi tu. Bwana ndio anakulipa mshahara huyu?
Ujeuri wako umezidi yani kabisa.
So that they can speak, yeah. Free the dumb, freedom. I want you feel the same, so girl, I want you feel the same, so. Cause I am Jaja by my side, they will never conquer I. Leave people business alone, yeah. Leave people business alone.
Hide me in your rock, oh yeah. Protect me from my enemy.
What does this number mean to you? A pack leader? A winner? Or just a number? To us, it means freshness, boldness, vibrancy and heritage. That's why at KBC Channel 1, we make it easier for you to pop up your family entertainment to a fresh, exciting and colorful bouquet.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Still continuing with this discussion, on gender-based violence and all matters surrounding it. Now, with me still is CS in the Ministry of Public Service and Gender Affairs, that is Professor Margaret Kobia, joining me via Zoom. Let's just get the discussion going, and you can send in your comments, questions, and we'll be sampling them during this bulletin. There is this program at the tail end and during the program as well. So, Madam CS, welcome back. Now, let's start by asking about the issue of affirmative action. And are there signs of gender inequality or inclusivity in this country so far?
Thank you very much, Victor. Yes, I think there are signs that we are not where we are in terms of getting maybe 50-50 gender parity, politically, economically, and socially. And I think the reasons are known. I think historically, our country, we have always had like a patriarchal kind of structure, and which tends to assign men maybe are more competitive, are more aggressive, are more raw as compared to women. However, I think, Victor, since the Beijing conferences that have been held, for them and the last one being in Beijing in 1995, I think they have made some gains. The journey has been slow and bumpy, and this is not only for Kenya. Getting some countries have had constitutions that say they want to get to 50-50, but in Kenyan experience, our constitution says at the political level, members of parliament, at the executive, at the judiciary, when considering people, we should have at least 30% of either gender. The two-thirds rule you actually alluded to. I think we have done quite well when it comes to the executive, because you can see the cabinet, all the other structures in government, at least over 30%. We have done also well in judiciary because of affirmative action, and also centralizing institutions so that the institutions are sensitive and they value diversity and inclusiveness, because decisions are better when both genders are involved. Where we have not done very well, Victor, is at Parliament.
Yeah.
It's important in Parliament that the representation of women is also there, because this is where decisions are made. Yes. And we have seen decisions regarding budgeting, decisions regarding representation. When both genders are on the table, then they would be able to say, yes, we need more budget for water, we need more budget for health for women. Therefore, we are still working on this two-thirds gender principle, and it is we will not give up. We are hoping through BPI we are going to get the two-thirds gender principle, because it can already be designed. You remember, if judiciary has raised the issue, everybody has raised the issue. But what we have learned, even if we are very clear we want to increase the two-thirds gender principle in Parliament, most of the parliamentarians are men, and they are still in that kind of orientation that when they come to voting, they are still not persuaded we need the two-thirds gender principle. So we still suffer the same patriarchal arrangement where the institutions have not changed. We could put a lot of policies and a lot of laws, but when the institutions, the individuals within the institutions have not changed, then it still becomes a problem. Therefore, we are hoping when we put a law which is very specific, that by the time you go to Parliament, then we will find an equation or a model that will ensure at least not more than that's is of either gender, because we have already achieved the judiciary, executive. We only have to work around the Parliament. I have no doubt, because now we are focused on that. It will be
just to rope in briefly. It's a bill that has been tabled in Parliament at least 4 times, and anytime it goes before the floor of the House for a reading, it gets a setback. Is there any signs of a break, probably through legislation and all that? And what is bringing all this kind of a deadlock anytime this bill goes before the floor of the House?
Yeah, I think that is true. The bill for two-thirds gender principle has been tabled in Parliament 4 times. Yes. And each time it has failed to achieve the two-thirds of parliamentarian, because the number of people in Parliament one thing is male, therefore male are still not persuaded. So by the time you require two-thirds, it's already a tall order. So that tells us men are not persuaded that they need the two to achieve that principle. What you remember also, the Chief Justice did actually warn the Parliament it is unconstitutional if they don't have the two-thirds, and then they be dissolved. But we realize where I am sitting now, even if you dissolve the Parliament and you ask them to go back in their constituencies and do election, because of the serious problem women face when vying for a political position, it's going still to be difficult. They will actually, now we have about 23 of them who are elected women. We might not even get that 23, because when a woman is going for parliamentary election, she faces 3 major problems. One, she will face the stereotype. Most of the people, they don't think a member of parliament, what comes in their mind, they think of a man. It's now they are getting used to see women in leadership. And that's why we have programs like Women in Leadership, so that we can promote and have a pipeline that when opportunity comes, they are there. Victor, you must congratulate this country, because we got the very first Chief Justice a few months ago, and that is very important for women to see their representation in the 3 arms of government. That alone is a major contributor that women will be coming forward for elected. The second challenge they face is the funding. It is very expensive to campaign, and not many women have got those kind of resources, the way they network, the way they would want to use their saving, they will not use. So funding and financing has become a big problem. That's why we have come together in the State Department of Gender to work with ENA, which is ENA African, which is Kenya Women Finance Trust, to ask women who want to go to politics to start putting a little funding aside, so that when time comes, the Kenya Women Finance Trust will give them a little bit more to be able to support that policy. The third item one, which is very difficult, is violence. You know how campaigns are done in this country. Women are not able to face that kind of violence, and I think what is now happening, even through the BBIs, anybody who makes violence to women, it's very clear the kind of punishment.
Okay, Madam CS. Okay. Because we are running out of time, let me just ask you this question that has been sent by one of our viewers. Says that numerous surveys have continued to portray public service in contempt, either through corruption, delays, absenteeism, arrogance, or all manner of disparity in the public. What is your take on this, and why? What is your legacy that you'd want to leave in the public service?
Thank you, Victor. It is true in some organization, maybe we have not, the public service has not been effective as before, and in particular with the coming of the COVID-19 pandemic. But I also want to remind the viewers that we have Huduma centers which have done very well, and I think I've not heard much. I think, Victor, I don't know if you have visited any Huduma center and seen the kind of service given, I think is efficient and effective. Also, we have found where maybe there's a bit of rusticity because of the maybe of COVID, we have tried to advance digital technology in delivering most of the government services. So I would also urge Kenyans, one of the legacy we want to leave is where public services are using digital technology to serve the people through their mobile phone, through their seated in their homes. And those who do not have that facility, Huduma centers still continue to service them. I think they should value the use of the county commissioners, which are centers of administration, where they can go and ask any question that is related to any service that they want, and I'm sure they will be helped. One of the legacies I want to leave within maybe the State Department of Gender is to find more women who are empowered, so such that we are more than 2/3 in judiciary, we are 40%, in executive over 30%, but also we want to put the women at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of economic empowerment. We are working with quite a number of organizations. We are even coming with new products that women can get funding, loans, so that they can be able to pull themselves out of poverty. Victor, let me explain this. We cannot just do gender-based violence without empowering women to lead, without empowering socioeconomic empowerment. So these all the pillars are mutually reinforcing, and you cannot just take one and say if you start fighting gender-based violence, then you will empower a woman, because now she still needs a woman who is economically empowered has got a voice. Because one of the things that women continue to struggle with girls is being able to speak up and kind of articulate the challenges that they are facing, and sometimes they have the solution. So valuing diversity, I think, is one of the areas we want to live, where we want to bring everyone on the table to make a decision that affects their lives.
Madam CS, thank you so much. You're doing an amazing job, and as you correctly put it, if you don't have an empowered society, either from either gender, then the society can never stand strong. Thank you so much for joining us. That is all we had time for. We've been talking to CS, the Ministry of Public Service and Gender Affairs, Professor Margaret Kobia. Madam CS, thank you so much for your valued company. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we are taking a break, but remember, Good Morning Kenya still continues after this break. So stay around.
genital mutilation is one. Female genital mutilation is one practice, just in various parts of this country, different counties, with prevalence being in places such as Kisii, Embu, Meru, Taita Taveta, and even Kuria.
Tunataka kuheshimu mila zetu, lakini ndio tuweze kuheshimu mila zetu, lazima pia tukae na tuseme zile mila ambazo zaumiza watoto wetu tuachane nazo, lakini zile mila ambazo ni za manufaa kwa watoto wetu tuendelee nazo.
The government has also made various strides with the notion of wanting to stop this practice by 2022.
When you instructed us with the Shebesh that the target of 2022 to have 0 cases of FGM is your plan, and we are trying to execute it, but Your Excellency, this cannot be done alone. First, let me thank the elders, because when they signed the declaration in the State House about 2 years ago, that was one of the new things that we, as an intervention, because fighting FGM requires several interventions. One of the intervention is where we brought in elders because they are the decision makers.
In this documentary, we learn about.
Nilisema nataka kukeketwa.
Alishika hiyo maneno kutoka kwa nyanya yake, akaja naye kutuambia ati yeye nataka.
Tulienda tukakeketa msichana mmoja, akamblindi.
We sensitize them about the dangers of FGM.
And now, I'm in Tharaka-Nithi County to find out if the government interventions are bearing fruits.
Kerunya kaire ntige tonga ananka gerero ngabana kaya akandinga mukono ntige tonga ewa kwa mware enwa mugambo nchoweya.
I got an appointment with Fides Kithinji, a reformed ex-cutter who practiced FGM for decades. She underwent the cut.
Wakati nilitaidiwa nikiwa mkubwa, sababu si hakuna kampuni. Unajua hii ni kampuni yako sasa. Sasa unaona wewe ukiacha huyu akitairiwa na huyu atairiwe na huyu mwingine, wewe uwezi waachwa peke yake. Sasa unakosa kampuni. Unajua kampuni. Sasa hiyo ndio inaniwezesha nitairiwe, sababu hakuna mtu tunakaa na yeye. Nitakuwa peke yangu.
According to Fides, it was more of a ceremony than an event.
Sasa wakati huu ni wakati wa ule mtani, ile mwenye kutairi anavaa hivi. Hata ukimwona na njia unajua yeye ni mwenye kutairi. Hata mwenye kutairiwa akiniona anajua ndio ule mtani. Anaitwa mtani. Sasa zamani mwenye kutairi alikuwa anaenda akiwa anaimbiwa. Anaimba. Sasa akienda pale ataingia pole na msisana naye hapa ndio mwenye kutairiwa atatokea na hii mlango amalisio mambo yake, na mimi nitakuwa pale nje. Sasa hii inaitwa kovia mtani, na hii ni nkio ya mtani. Hii mti inaitwa lamara, yani ile pimbo ya mtani. Ukienda kusukua mtani, kama mtu anikujia hapa, kama unatumano kama vile kijana kama ule anakuja ananiambia tunataka uende ukatairie kwetu. Sasa leta ile pesa unakuja naye ili niweze kutoka. Kiniashia 1,000. Sasa nitampea hii. Ona, ataenda naye akijua mtani akienda atapelekea yule mwenye kutairiwa, mwambie ukiona hii ujua hakuna utabandilika, hata ukikataa tunakushika kwa nguvu.
Poverty made Fides to become a cutter.
Sasa nikaona nione kama nikitairi nitapata pesa. Sasa nikaanja hapo umuhimu nikafuatilia wale walikuwa na barua. Wajua huku kutahiri zamani ilikuwa ukienda kutahiri na unaenda unapea simu pesa. Unakupatia barua unaenda kutahiri nayo. Sasa ukiwa unapata ile barua utaenda hivyo, utakuwa ukienda bila amuke. Asubuhi saa 12 umetahiri. Umemaliza na unapewa kitu.
For one to qualify as a cutter, one had to cut at least 10 young ladies.
Wajua ulikuwa unatahiri kisirisiri, hakuna mtu anajua kama unatahiri. Unaenda unatahiri, unakujua unatahiri, unarudi. Sasa ukirundi vile, wajua ni kama vile unapewa mtihani unapita. Sasa ukipita ukikuwa na watu 10 wako, sasa hiyo ndio kama unafunuliwa. Unapatiana ile sakura, wanakura alafu wanakuambia sasa wewe endelea kabisa. Ni kama vile unafanya mtihani wa form 4 kama ukapita uende university.
Later on the day, I received a call from Sarah Karimi from Kirimangare village, Kanjuki sublocation. She is one of the few women who voluntarily went for the cut.
Nilisema nataka kukeketwa. Ukeketaji ulikuwa mwingi na ilikuwa ni passion. So kama hujakeketwa hauna kampani.
Mtu anakaa for how long ndio arudi kwa sawa kabisa, ile mpaka anaweza toka nje atembea ndio na shughuli zake kwa kawaida?
Utakaa mwezi moja.
Na hiyo mwezi kwa nyumba ni mambo gani ambayo unafanyiwa? Kama ile kuappreciate umetoka from one stage to another stage.
Kiutamaduni kuna mambo mingi walikuwa wanafanya. Utaletwa watu hata kwa kuchape. Uko na kidonda na utachapwa. Utaambua kama ni mambo ya kuheshimu mama mwenye amekuwa supporter wako. Utaambua mambo ya kama unapita njiani ukutane na wazazi wako, unapaa wewe unaingia kwa kichaka, wanapita. Upusi mwingi.
Peer pressure also pushed her to go for the cut.
Wakati niko darasani nilikuwa na stress, sababu naona wenzangu wameenda kuolewa. Kama rafiki yangu nakumbuka kuna mmoja aliolewa tu vile tu sasa tulirudi mashuleni. Yeye akakuwa tayari alikuwa na boyfriend, lakini sasa vile amepita hiyo section sasa amekuwa sawa. So akakuwa ameolewa, kuna mtoto. Bado mimi hata sijamaliza class 8. Bado naendelea na masomo. So nilikuwa naona ni stress kubwa.
Simon Jaging Gathu is a community leader in Kirimangare village.
Wanajaribu kuendelea ama kuendesha ile nini utamaduni wao. Hiyo kazi mimi sitaifanya. Maana niliona haina kitu ama haina faida yoyote kwangu. Na kama mtu akija kwangu kuniambia ati nataka barua, uende unichukulie barua kwa chief ama kwa assistant chief ili nipate nafasi ya kukeketa msichana wangu. Hiyo kitu mimi nakataa. Na tena hiyo kama kiendelea na hiyo kazi na nikipata huyo msichana amekeketwa, mimi napiga ripoti kwa authority, alafu majukumu nashukuliwa na serikali. Kusema kweli mimi sioni kama kuna kitu ambayo kiko muhimu sana kwa kukeketa msichana, mbali ni hasara tupu.
A few meters away, I met Grace Josephat, a reformed ex-cutter who practiced FGM for over 10 years.
Kuanzia 1979 tukaenda mpaka hata mimi akanifundisha kukeketa. Akitengenezewa pombe akikunywa akalewa, ananiambia sasa nilikufundisha saa hii ni wewe utafanya hii kazi. Tulienda tukakeketa msichana mmoja akamblindi kwa damu kwa wingi. Nikaangalia nikaona na hii ni maneno ya kufungwa. Nikafikiria, nikaanza kutetemeka. Nikaona hii maneno hii serikali ikijua tutapungwa. Mimi nikaolewa na pasta. Nikiolewa na pasta akaniambia, sasa hii maneno sitakubaliana na hii maneno. Hata nikiwa mimi na keketa, nilikuwa naona ni maneno sio mzuri.
Government interventions to stop FGM has attracted support from non-governmental organizations. We met Faith, Regional Director, Plan International based in Tharaka Nithi County.
A lot of progress has been achieved towards eradication of the practice, with a lot of emphasis on working with locals, mainly the role models, women and men that are in support of ending the practice, women that have progressed well in their career and have not gone through FGM, and others that have gone through FGM are career women but are against the practice and have been able to stop the practice in their own families. So those are the people that we've been working with. There are a lot of awareness campaigns that have been held at the community level. A lot of government structures have also been supported, especially strengthening the court users committees, working with the area advisory councils, training the police officers, mainly to ensure that they understand the need for issues of child protection, because FGM falls under violation of children's rights as well as a form of gender-based violence. So as much as there is that much that the organization has done in reducing the practice from 58% in 2014 to 48% as at last year, a lot more needs to be done now that comparing the prevalence in Tharaka Nithi County and the national prevalence of 21%, we are way above the national average with around 27%. A lot more needs to be done in eradicating the practice, which is quite deep-rooted. And as much as the government is committed to ending the practice in 2022, there is quite some good trial in terms of the government agencies supporting the presidential directive, but there is a lot more that needs to be done by everyone to ensure that the practice is eradicated in 2022.
Some children were actually rescued by Plan International, them that were to undergo the cut, and then they picked them. Those are the girls that they hold seminars for. We sensitize them about the dangers of FGM as a woman, as a girl, and even to the education sector. It's dangerous to them. We've held so many seminars and we've taught well about it, and for sure a large percentage is now in schools as a result of those seminars.
If you compare FGM prevalence, especially across the county, areas where the literacy levels are very high, people have gone to school, people are in church, people are not poor, the FGM levels are very low. But where the poverty levels are high, there are high levels of illiteracy, then FGM is high. So if we fight poverty, then it will definitely address issues of FGM, because parents will have, they will be financially stable, they can be able to take their children through schools. There is that level of exposure that comes up with the improved level standards of living. There is that interaction with the outside world that brings in the natural transformation from embracing the cultural practices that are retrogressive to encouraging education, to encouraging support of education and hence eradication of FGM in an area.
My visit to Tharaka Nithi County left me with hope. A hope that come 2022, FGM prevalence will be zero. A hope that girls will be given equal opportunity in the society. I will visit Tharaka again.
check out for a KDIC sticker in your banking hall. KDIC, protecting your deposits.
Ala! Nissan Serena ndio hii. Na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS. Alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo.
I just thought I might have a chance with you.
You are my employee, my worker, only that. So don't make any mistakes. I'm your boss and I would never look at you twice.
Do you have any idea what the star zone means to me?
I was so looking forward to see the first crop of the land that I inherited from my mother.
Oh, Amaya, please, don't be overly sentimental. It's ridiculous. Do you have any suspicions? No, I don't want to get involved in any gossip. It is not gossip.
We have the same person in mind, don't we?
Yes, ma'am. Tell me, who?
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente.
This is where it all began. As the mother of broadcasting in Kenya, you can trust KBC to bring you authentic news and programs to your living room. As KBC, we take pride in our unrivaled heritage as Kenya's trusted national broadcaster. Commanding over 92% digital television signal coverage of our country, 23 radio services that cut across our entire language spectrum, a national, regional and international digital presence backed by the most experienced and top-notch broadcast professionals in the industry.
A very good evening to you.
The new look Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is truly ahead of the pack. Turn to the mother of broadcasting in Kenya for stories that resonate with our identity, our aspirations as a people united in purpose. Real stories of hard work, of passion, of creativity, of big dreams. Stories that cement our nationhood. Stories that bring us together as one. We take pride in our shared heritage and destiny. KBC, informing, educating and entertaining Kenyans as one nation. KBC, Kenya's listening, Kenya's watching.
At 5 minutes past the top of the hour, welcome to the program. This is still Good Morning Kenya. Time for our last conversation this Wednesday. And you know it's Master's Lifestyle being on a Wednesday. This morning we want to deeply focus on the events industry. What exactly goes into that? If you're someone who wants to get into this kind of business, the things you need to understand. Also, especially as a model, what are the nitty-gritties? My guest this morning is Caroline Wambui, CEO Ushers Kenya. Good morning.
Morning.
I can see already you're just in a light, easy mood, which is a good thing for this convo.
Okay.
Let's begin from the tops to understand what Ushers Kenya is all about, at least to build some context as we go with our conversation.
Okay, Ushers Kenya is a company formed by young people. So we were a group of models and we used to go for events a lot. Mostly when you're a runway model and you're beginning your journey, we used to be invited for ushering events. So I discovered there's a gap. Someone needed to fill the gap of having an ushering company. So it's an ushering company We also do commercials, we do adverts, we also have bodyguards right now, because sometimes you have a client who's very high-end, so he wants ushers and bodyguards. So that's basically Ushers Kenya.
Okay, so is it just all about ushering, or there's something more to that in Ushers Kenya?
So what we do also, if you have an event, so you give us your concept, we can also help you in managing it, all the way from ticketing to sales, selling of the event out there, marketing it. So it's basically a whole event, but we call ourselves Ushers Kenya.
Ushers Kenya is a tag name.
You
know when you tell someone Ushers Kenya, because you really do a lot of things, and we'll get into also the history behind you doing all these things. But someone might think, is it just only ushering that you do, just going by the name? So really, what informed the choosing of this kind of name? Because again, in a business, the name is one of the important things that someone needs to think of.
The reason is there are still very many modeling agencies in the country, and mostly you find that models are used to usher. You actually move from a modeling agency and then you do promotions and all this. Then I discovered if we had an ushering company specifically not for runway but for ushering, it would, of course, people would learn that there is a difference between ushering and modeling. So that's why we came up with that one. But the fact that we're called Ushers Kenya, we deal with a whole package of planning your event, the decor part, if in case you need our help, because there are others who definitely have everything sorted, but in case you need our help, we will help you manage it, plan it, sell the tickets, and then usher in the whole of the event out of it.
All right. I like the part that you also manage and plan, and we'll get into that a bit again to understand what really goes into managing an event, planning an event. Also for our viewers perhaps want to get in this kind of business to understand what really goes into it. But also you are a commercial model. So was that also part of what formed the basis or the idea behind you beginning such kind of a company?
Yes, I began as a model in 2016. That time I was doing runway. Then I discovered runway does not pay.
Haina shilingi.
Haina pesa. And then back then I used to do it in Meru, because mimi nimesomea Meru. So in Meru it was not that of a hassle you get, but when you go to commercial you would get small adverts, events. So that's how I got my channel into Ushers Kenya now.
Aside from that money bit, because again for young people money is always a thing. You know, as in Kenya hakuna pesa, how will I stay? You know, there's always that mentality. But aside from that money beat, because again, there's a lot that really happens in the events industry, and especially for models. So aside from that money beat, also what really informed you from just moving from runway to just doing commercial per se?
As you've said, runway does not pay. Because if you can even think how many events have been in the country in the last 1 year which were runway, and then you can imagine how many models we have in Kenya. Every school, every institution has a model. There are very many models in the country. So if you're seated in your house and you just want to be a runway model, my friend, utasafa. So for me shifting from runway to commercial, first it was because of money, definitely. The second thing, there's some fulfillment when you see an idea. Let's say if you tell me I want to push this brand out there, and then I come up with the concept creation, we create together, we push it, and then you see it out there. But on runway, it's just wearing the cloth, running, going on the catwalk, coming back, giving back the designer the dress, and it's just a pretty face which does not have much to according to me. It might be different to others, but according to me, runway was not my thing, because it's just a 5-minute thing and you're done. For me, the idea of creating something and then seeing it go all the way from zero into a brand, that is commercial for me. And that's why I chose this.
From the concept idea to the brand. Okay, Carol, I'd also like you to speak especially to young upcoming people who want to get into this kind of industry in the event space, either perhaps as a CEO or even as a model. Because off camera you're telling me how sometimes it's still difficult up until now that brands, that client still have a preference, and they're in Africa, in Kenya, and they really want lighter tones. How does that work?
I know.
Make us understand a bit about that.
And just to take you somewhat back, the reason most models don't make it on runway is because also of the skin tone issue. Because if you look actually at the international runways that we have, they have very dark skin tones. You've noticed
not just dark, very dark.
Very dark. South Sudanese sort of, very dark, rich, dark color. But when you come to us, we're sort of in torn between you're not light, you're not dark, you're just there.
Yeah.
Not very many designers want to work with you. And it's very sad because that's who we are, right?
Why is that?
I don't know how they do it, but the truth of the matter is I think it's also a challenge to them, because the moment you're trying to sell someone who's very beautiful and is very dark, but the people you're selling to, they're in between, or someone who's very light and the person you're selling the dress to or the brand to is in between, it does not really go well. But to be honest, it's been a challenge. It is still a challenge. Even into ushering, you find clients want a certain skin tone and a certain type of body too.
Okay.
Yes.
So it goes beyond the skin color.
It goes beyond that. Although, okay, when us we're choosing, we have a variety of people. Like in my company, we have as many as 70. So I have dark, I have light, I have my skin tone, I have chocolate, I have everything. So that when a client comes, I'll give you all the people that I have, and then you will choose. But to be honest, it's still a challenge. Most people go for extremely light or extremely dark. And nowadays, the idea of a size 8 or a size 6,
in Kenya.
In Kenya, yes.
Or in Africa as a whole.
In Africa, I
so
think.
for you as a person, have you faced that challenge, even when you're still doing perhaps runway or commercial? It could be either. Have you faced, because you're in between. You know, you are not as light, you're not dark, you're there in between.
Yeah.
And I believe you're talented. So was that also a challenge? And perhaps how did you deal with it, just to make also young girls understand?
For me, first of all, I can tell you for a fact, when you're in between, it's very easy for you to get someone to do your makeup.
Okay.
But when you're off, somehow it's also very hard. But it's very easy for designers to select you or for judges and everything. So for me, I knew my stand, and as much as it was a bit shaky for me to kind of get my stand and everything, first, me, I'm very short. When it comes to the rank of 5'6", 5'8", and all that, I am 5'6", 5'7". So really also my height was not very friendly. And you see, if you want to make it in runway, you have to be extremely tall. So for me, I knew it. For me, I was just there for the
extremely
crown.
tall and either dark or light.
Exactly.
So you really had a really big challenge.
I had a challenge because I am 5'6". Actually, nikitoa viatu I'm 5'6", but nikivaa viatu I'm taller, 5'8" and plus.
Okay.
So for me, I knew. For me, when I did it, I knew for me I wanted the crown. I wanted to change people's lives, because you see, when you're chosen as a model, because for me I was a crowned model, I knew my target was to change someone's life, and I did it. I did it in Meru prisons. I did it in the community. I had my path, but I knew at some point I would shift. So I didn't have time for skin tones and all that and my height. And actually when I got it, I was ready. I was ready because I knew at some point I wouldn't go far.
Right.
Yeah, but that does not mean that when you're my skin tone you can't go far. I mean, it's just you to know that there are brands in Kenya who are interested with working with your skin tone. Look for them again. Push your brand out there, because also it's a challenge. Young people want to sit, tweet and post and everything and just be seated
and expect someone will actually spot you.
Yeah, you have to go out there and sell the idea, just the way we're saying here, that people need to like us. I mean, our skin tones, dark people or light, you have to make these brands like you.
Okay.
If it's about your height, if it's about what you're bringing on the table, what do you have as a person? Is it the idea? Is it your professionalism? I mean, you just can't be a beauty without nothing. Yeah.
And I think that was very important for me to ask, because there's really a lot that always goes into the events space.
Yeah.
Someone just thinks perhaps it's just planning an event and that's it. But there's those nitty-gritties, perhaps getting a model. And the way you're mentioning, some clients will actually even go ahead and tell you, this person looks talented, but because they're not light,
exactly,
no, because they're not extremely dark, but also, you know, from just your encouragement, at least you're making us understand that go for the brands that will appreciate or that will like your in between kind of skin tone.
True. And also, if you feel you want to work for a certain brand, let's say, take for example my company, if you feel I could be of help to Caroline, this is something I would do, convince me.
Okay.
Because you know, everywhere, in every big company, someone is seated. You're seated here. If I want your seat, I have to be better than you. You get my point? And I have to prove to your CEO that I am worth the chance. So you have to prove it. I can also do it, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So it at the end of the day, it also goes beyond.
Exactly, it goes beyond. You have to do your part, play your part, and I mean, fight every day. At some point, I know our country, our continent is growing. Tutakubalika tu at some point.
But reality on ground right now, this is how it is. So try and find your space.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so really, what goes into your mind as you perhaps go choosing or getting, the models or even your employees? Is it their skills? Is it training? Is it education? Because again, we keep thinking that if you want to get into events, all you just need is talent, maybe.
Not really.
Okay.
For me, the fact that we are an ushering company, we are more of a modeling agency, because we recruit you, we train you. You have to go through etiquette training, customer care. I mean, it's a whole process. So if we recruit you today, the first 2 months or 3 months, you are on audition jobs.
Okay.
Or you're on training. That's how we call them. We call them audition jobs. So as much as you're coming, yes, we will pay you, but we are auditioning you from what you've been trained.
And they'll be paid?
Yes, they will be paid. They will be paid, yeah. The only thing is, I cannot pay you the much, you understand? I can't pay you because I don't really trust you, or I haven't seen. It's like an audition job. Yeah. But when I'm choosing people, first I have to look at my customers, because for me, I do auditions after every 8 months. Okay. Because people just keep coming. So what we do, we choose people depending on, first, their, of course, how you look. Not really your looks, but your appearance. You see, as a model, you have to maintain yourself. You have to at least be presentable. Exactly, be presentable. Yeah. You have to have a lot of etiquette. As much as most of my students, or currently my students, they are from hospitality classes, because they're very easy to train. They already know how to deal with guests and everything. But also you have to have a touch of makeup, and you can apply on yourself. I mean, it's a bit of, we actually do auditions on county to county. Okay. Yes. And we also have branches here. We have branches in Tanzania. So the girls we have in Tanzania, they're way different than the people here, because of the clientele over there. The people we have in Uganda, they're way different from what we have here, because you can't go to Uganda and you tell them, I want this specific, nataka Waswahili. Why will you get Waswahili in Uganda? You can't go to TZ and tell them, I want South African girls, South Sudanese skin tone. You get my point? Yeah. So it's sometimes to choose depending on niko na nani, who are my clients right now, what do they want. That's when I choose. So also the clientele informs. Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And also I really think that was again important, because we always have this notion that if at all you are in events, arts, entertainment, you don't need an education background. As long as I'm talented, I'm good to go. But just from your explanation, that also you're telling us that you also go for people that perhaps are, have that hospitality background. Yes. So again, it still means that education is an important factor.
It is, because you can imagine having a beautiful person who does not know how to communicate, who does not know how to be humble and nice to guests. Because anyway, can you imagine being in an event and you're hosting probably a PS or a dignitary, and this person is told, please go get for me a glass or something, and they do not understand the types of wines that are there.
Yet they are beautiful.
Yeah, but it's like being just beautiful, but you don't know how to talk. You don't know how to express yourself. Okay. It's just dangerous. Yeah.
So this thing goes beyond.
It goes beyond. You have actually another thing. Now we are at a point where I'm recruiting, and I need you to know at least three languages. Okay. Kiswahili, English, and one local. Such that if I'm in Kisumu, I need someone to understand, because I might not understand Luya or maybe another language, but I might understand Kikuyu or Kimeru or something else. So if I go to that area, I need someone who understands. You get my point? Yeah. Because probably it's a wedding. I need the guests to feel they're being served in their own language, to feel comfortable. So you need to at least be fluent in 3 languages. Your local, Kiswahili, and English.
And an extra language.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. So if you really want to get into this kind of industry, events, from Carol herself, at least now you're understanding what this entails. It's not just about talent per se, not just about beauty per se, but it goes beyond. There's skill, there's education, there's expertise. She's giving us all the nuggets in regards to that. You also mentioned a bit about management and planning of an event. And I just want to understand from you, perhaps also from previous experiences, have you had to actually manage an event on a budget, and how did you do it?
Okay, first of all, let's just take this conversation just kidogo nyuma.
Okay.
There's also an issue of people want beautiful people. People want beautiful girls, handsome gentlemen, and I mean all dressed, but you don't give me the budget. That is a challenge, because nikileta ashas kwako, you're launching a product. You need me to brand them your logo.
Yeah.
The same outfit siwezi nikapelekea mwenzako. You get? So that is obviously in most cases a challenge. So what I do personally, I have dresses and suits for like specific colors, like black, blue, white, because hizo ndio najua ni zile nyingi watu watataka. So what we do, if I have a client and they hawafiki bei, you know what I do? Yeah. So what I do is I pick my company clothes, the ones that are not branded, and then I tell you, can you just make badges? So you make a badge which reads your company logo. So that's how I manage it, because obviously PR with Corona and everything, I mean, people don't have a lot of money to spend on events. Yeah. Also, I work with my group members. They're a bit, so you need understanding or something. So sometimes we work with what you have, but for sure I'll give you what you want. I might not get to the standards that you want because of the money part, but I try my best, and it happens, especially in Africa, in Kenya right now. It happens a lot. Most of the time watu hawafiki bei, but they want quality. Yeah, and you just, I mean, I don't know, sometimes you just at a crossroad, you don't know what to do. But for me, I have uniforms. Zile hazina brand. So ikifika, you want, probably your color is theme color of the event is purple. I might not get purple, but I might get a black dress, which is nice, and then I just like give them probably like chains or something, or a scarf which is purple, and black shoes, so that tuendanishe tu.
So you just try to reach to what they want, but haiko pale.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like that is really a big challenge. It cuts across not just events, arts and entertainment. I don't know if it's because perhaps as Africans we really don't appreciate perhaps the work that goes into this kind of spaces. That's why someone will come and tell you nataka ikae hivi na hivi na hivi, and the budget is not quite there yet.
And you also find that most clients, they also don't understand that for me to, let's take for example, for you to look that beautiful, there was a makeup artist, you had to buy some shoe, I mean, you have earrings, and you can't put on the same shoes and the same earrings, and the makeup artist has to appear tomorrow. So people expect you to bring in ushers or whoever you're bringing, but they don't understand this person ametoka nyumbani, amekuja aje, ameva nini. And then for me as a brand, I don't want just my group to be out there. They have to look a certain way. So I have a makeup artist, I have rescue media which helps me in photography and everything. It's a whole package. So you find that most people hawataki kulipa, na pia mimi as a brand, I don't want to take my group out there in a car too. Like, you get my point? Yeah. So it's a challenge, but we're evolving. Kidogo kidogo tu, we're evolving.
So people should start appreciating the event space.
Yes, and also appreciating that when you see something beautiful, kuna mtu hapo nyuma ametengeneza.
Because you're mentioning, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. You've mentioned that there's rescue media, there's the girls who are the models, you know, there's the clothes that goes into it before actually that event looks the way it looks.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot that goes into that kind of space. So in essence, then how do you deal with those difficult, irate clients? That enye unaambia kuna venye tu lazima uongeze hiyo pesa, ama tu kuna vile you have to do ABCD, but they still go like, no. Or just, you know, there's some people that are really just difficult.
Talk about difficulty. There are even people, the client is difficult, the guests are difficult, the events manager is difficult, I mean.
And you're supposed to be in and try and...
Yes, and at the end of the day, the ushers are the face of that event. Because the guest hajui that if I wasn't paid well, I need to treat you well. So anakuja ako arrogant, and you still have to smile and be like, hey, karibu, and all this is what we're offering and all that. But for me, I've trained my girls, as I've told you, most of my group and my group is from most of them are actually from hospitality classes. And if you're not, we will train you how to go about it. So we try as much as possible to be accommodating, because that's the role of any brand ambassador out there. You have to be accommodating, you have to be understanding. play your part. But of course it gets to a point, inaita tu bodyguard sasa namwambia mimi nimeshindwa.
That's why you have bodyguards.
That's why I have bodyguards. And let me also tell you another thing.
Yeah.
The reason I have bodyguards, it's not just for their security. If you have a wedding, you might need my bodyguards, but I also need my security for my girls. You can imagine we are probably bringing in a celebrity in Kenya. So everyone is all over the celebrity. My hostesses are there, and of course the watu wataanza as they're trying to reach the celebrity, they're also touching my group. So that's where the bodyguard part comes in. And that's why I'm telling you, people want to pay, but they don't understand that you're not just paying for the hostess. There's a whole thing behind her. Kuna lazima, because also I cannot keep following the event probably, or the artist's photographer anipe picha, sababu pia ule anafuata the main guy. My main guy in that event is my girls and my gents, you get? So I also have to have a photographer. And you nakwambia, most of these people, they want to pay small money, but they don't understand it's a whole package. It's a whole package.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to get to this kind of space,
you have to be ready.
It's not so easy.
It's not that easy.
All right. So then, from your perspective, which event would you say that this actually was your biggest achievement, and what was it about it? Because I mean, just borrowing from our conversation, we are really hearing a lot of the challenges in this kind of industry. Someone might actually think, okay, so hakuna anything good about events?
Actually, there are and there is still very much benefit in the industry. First of all, I can tell you, I have seen my girls evolve.
Okay.
For me, I think because I was a crowned model, because when you're a crowned model, you're trained how to be nice to people and give back. So for me, I have seen my girls move from zero all the way, because I have companies which actually adopt them. Like anachukua model, anaona amefanya kazi vizuri, anakwambia why don't you give me that model for a full-time contract?
Wow.
So for me, that one is very key. I sleep very happily, at night.
You've contributed.
Exactly. Okay. Because right now I have like 20 wako contracted, like 2 years. So that's one. For sure. Second, you make a lot of connections in these events, because you meet, of course, guests, and then you try to explain to them, this is what I do, nini. That's number 2, the connections that you get. Number 3, there is the money part. And number 4, it's very fulfilling, as I've told you, to take a room like this one, fill people in, and see the dream carrier or the dream bearer deliver what they wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Carol, at least for your insights and making us understand more about this kind of space and what someone needs to do perhaps to get to the events industry.
Thank you.
All right. And that was Carol Wamboi, CEO Ushers Kenya. That is where we bring this conversation to a close. I'm Dorina Rang on behalf of the entire team. Thank you so much for watching. Till tomorrow, good morning.
Thank you.
To get Skizatune Hail Mary, dial *811 *963#.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
To get Hail Mary, dial *811 *963#. *811 *963#.
夜远风伴吹散沉香，香满旗檐上。
You are a man of great insight. With your encouragement, I'll get started then.
Wait, come back here. Who knows when we'll run into each other again next time?
Looks like Queen Mother is suspicious of my identity.
Hey! Your vial.
I won't allow some barbaric unknown princess to steal the favor I've earned.
Have you fallen in love with her so soon?
夜远风伴吹散沉香，香满旗檐上。抓一回当 桂如瑶堂，相思泪。
I am only here to help you.
So am I. Ama hii session ya leo pengine ya bure.
Ikiwa yotoa watu uhai itakuwa mimi kunishona mdomo.
Nasema nini wewe?
Na wewe mwenyewe hata sijui sampuli gani. Wewe huyu wakuta majina kila sampuli, wewe uko hivi hivi tu. Bwana ndio anakulipa mshahara huyu.
Ujeuri wako umezidi yani kabisa.
What does this number mean to you? A pack leader? A winner? Or just a number? To us, it means freshness, boldness, vibrancy and heritage. That's why at KBC Channel 1, we make it easier for you to pop up your family entertainment to a fresh, exciting and colorful bouquet.
Where I, like any other child, went barefooted to primary school and to secondary school and A-level school, and finally joined Egerton University for my bachelor's. Finishing early in the 90s, I was quickly posted to Cowboy Girls High School, where I rose to become a head of science department and was given an accolade for good performance within the divisional science fit. After that, I felt that I should be a qualified teacher, so I joined Kenyatta University for a postgraduate diploma in pedagogy, which I finished. But before I could settle, and having been transferred to Nairobi Technical,